if I am more jacked, I will get more girls, which I think is a common fallacy that maybe you have fallen into. I know I have definitely fallen into this, and I am slowly but surely pulling myself out of this fallacy. And in this video, I want to break down why I think that it's fallacy, why I believe that method of thinking is wrong. And maybe you're listening to this and you're thinking, well, I don't think that the more jacked that I get, I'm going to get more girls. Or maybe you do. But if you don't think that, you might subconsciously think that. You got to check yourself. It's tough sometimes with the conscious and the subconscious. But without further ado, I think it's really easy to think, okay, if I get in better shape, if I lose more body fat and I build more muscle, I'll be more confident, I'll look better, girls will notice me, blah, blah, blah. That line of thinking, I think, can be true to a certain point, right? I have this theory that I want to share with you on this topic, which is kind of like the checking, I don't know what to call it, the checking the box theory, which I think for most women, when it comes to them being attracted for men, and again, this is just my opinion, you can comment below if you think I'm way off here, they just want to check the box that like, you're not fucking overweight, right? Like you're not like fat, obese, super unhealthy, or just like rail thin, like you look like you're emaciated and starving, right? Those are kind of like the two polar opposites, that you're like really out of shape and you don't take care of yourself. And really what I think that looks like is if you're below like 20% body fat, maybe even like 23, 25, maybe dad bod-ish zone. But like if you're below that body fat wise, it's like, okay, you kind of check the box like, okay, like he's somewhat fit in shape, right? And then if you're like have a little bit of muscle on you, like you're not just rail thin, skin and bones, then again, you like check the box. But anywhere in between those two extremes, like going from like 18% body fat to like 10% body fat where you're like shredded, six pack, like looking good, I don't think it really makes that big of a difference in how much girls you get, or how much attention, or how much respect, or how much you get laid with girls, or whatever the case may be, as much as you might think that it does. Because I think once you're in that zone of like you've checked the box, then all of these other factors that are far more important come into play, like your confidence and charisma and status and financial security and humor and all these other things. And then like your genuine compatibility with that specific girl, right? Comes into play. And those are so much more important. I think for a lot of my life, I spent a lot of time, a lot of energy trying to get into like really good shape. And I've done it. I've gotten into like incredible shape. I'm still in pretty damn good shape right now. I wouldn't say I'm in the best shape that I am, but I kind of took my foot off the gas a little bit for a few different reasons. But one of which being exactly what I'm touching on in this video is I think for a while, men are driven, we're really driven by we're driven by two things, pussy and power, right? We're driven by, we want either a lot of women and we want to sleep with a bunch of women and do whatever, or we want to find like that one woman superstar that's going to be like our wife and mother of our children, right? But regardless, we're still driven by this women piece, right? And I think it's really easy to think like, oh, the more jacked I get, the less body fat I have, the more muscle that I have, it will correlate like directly or linear with me getting more girls. Not the case. Like, yeah, I believe that if you're fucking fat and overweight, getting in shape will probably help you a ton. But again, once you're in that zone of like, you're like just, you're not like, you might not be in amazing shape, or you could be, but you're not like fat or really, really skinny. And then as I said, all these other things come into play. So I kind of took a step back where I'm like, I've already checked the box and then some. The difference between me going from like, I'm kind of like not in the best shape that I've been right now to like, I'm so dialed in, beach ready, photo shoot ready, like ready to fucking hit the beach, perfect six pack, everything. Like that's not gonna get me more girls or get me more attention or help me attract a woman than like being more confident, having more status, being better in my social circle, having more money for experiences and events and inviting girls to things, and like all those things matter so much more. So I hope that like you watching this video, if you're a dude that is like kind of fallen into this fallacy or this mindset a little bit, it's like, you know what? Give yourself a little bit of grace. You might think going the extra mile on the whole fitness journey is really gonna help, but it's like, dude, once you get to a certain point, like don't worry about it that much. Now you need to like figure out some of these other areas of your life. Because like, just for example's sake, I've seen this a ton of times. Guys with dad bod pulling more girls than me, pulling hotter girls than me. Guys who are not in nearly, so it breaks that belief, and it's like, oh, okay, so it's not as important as I really thought it was to be in good shape. Of course it's good to be confident, right? And you might be thinking, the devil's advocate or the other argument to this could be, well, I hear what you're saying, Cooper, but the more in shape I am, the more confident I am, and therefore that extra confidence is what helps me with women. And I would say, yeah, actually, that's a good counter argument. I can get that and I can understand that, and I think to a certain degree you're right, but then begs the question, why are you deriving so much of your confidence from getting in better shape? It's probably because you think that the more in shape you are, the more you will get girls. See, this is where you're deriving those incremental gains in confidence, because you're under the belief that if you get more and more and more and more shredded and more jacked, that you'll be perceived better in the eyes of women, which is why you're then more confident from it. So I think it's a healthy thing to kind of take a step back from that and really realize that it's like, okay, like I don't need to be the most shredded guy ever to get girls. Therefore, I can allow myself to be more confident even when I'm not in the best shape ever. And that's been really helpful for me, because I feel like a lot of times I wouldn't be nearly as confident if I wasn't just like totally in the best shape and feeling really good. But now I've been able to kind of like detach that, and I'm like, oh wait, no, like I'm not even that worried. I'm not even like, I don't take a hit in my confidence when I'm not in like baller shape, because I now realize and believe that it's not nearly as important as I thought that it once was. Here's a quick example, and then I'm gonna wrap up the video that proves this point. 2 summers ago, I hooked up with this girl in Scottsdale when I used to live there. Gorgeous girl, great body, whatever. Not here to brag, but just like saying to prove this point, I was in the worst shape that I had been in probably like 2 years at that time. And I remember thinking to myself like, oh wow, like I'm a little bit like chubby right now. Not actually chubby, but like for me as someone who's like really focused on like physique and health and whatever, it was like not good for me. And I remember her making this comment at one point, like when my shirt was off, like, oh wow, like you're just in such good shape, like I can see your abs and everything. And like she made this comment to me that was like basically like, you look really good. And in my head, the crazy thing was I was like almost feeling insecure, like, wow, this is like the worst shape that I've been in a while. And so it just kind of like put everything into perspective. It's just like, bro, like you're in fucking good shape. Don't fucking worry about it. Like, you think you're in the worst shape you've been in forever. She sees you as being super fit. So it's also that thing too, like don't get lost in the sauce of like the fitness influencers, the Instagram, whatever, of like, oh, if I'm not fucking dick skin lean, peeled at 8% body fat, then like I'm nothing. It's like, dude, just being in like decent shape these days compared to social media is like actually really good shape. So anyways, hope you found value from that yap. I know that was kind of a more note to self, but if that was a big realization and something that's gonna benefit my life, hopefully it benefits yours as well. Cheers.